Hello viewers, this is Ranjana ma'am again. Yes, and this time it is for my ISC students. So yes, you are watching mine as well as your channel. Only one scene is left for my ISC students. Act 3, Scene 3 of The Tempest. And exams are coming closer, so here I am. So let's, without wasting any more time, start. But yes, before I start, you know what is coming. I always say, if you have not subscribed to my channel up till now, please do. And don't forget to press the like button after having viewed the video. And I'm sure you'll like it. It's not that bad. Anyway, jokes apart, let's start Act 3, Scene 3. So in Act 3, Scene 3, what do we find? The characters are Alonso, Sebastian, Antonio, Gonzalo, Adrian, and Francisco. So remember when Gonzalo and Alonso, they had noticed Antonio and Sebastian with their swords drawn. So Gonzalo had suspected something foul and he had woken up Alonso, and all of them had left that place. So they are wandering all over the island and searching for Ferdinand. Gonzalo. By our laking, I can go no further, sir. My old bones aches. Here is a maze trod indeed, through forthrights and meanders. By your patience, I needs must rest me. So Alonso is the senior most among them, and he has become very tired. So he tells that he is swearing by Mother Mary that he can proceed no further. Why? Because he is stiff with pains. Being an old man, that's very natural. So he says that this place or this island as if seems to be a maze. Maze, you keep coming at the same place like Bhul Bhulaiya we have in Lucknow. So this is like a maze. So some are straight, some are round and round. So he takes the leave of Alonso. He tells that I think I must rest. I needs must rest me. So he cannot do without resting. Alonso, O Lord, I cannot blame thee, who am myself attached with weariness to the dulling of my spirits. Sit down and rest. Even here will put off my hope. No longer for my flatterer. He is drowned, whom thus we stray to find. And the sea mocks our frustrate search on land. Well, let him go. So he seems to be full of despair. Why? Because he feels that this search for Ferdinand is futile. So he says, my lord, he is referring to Gonzalo, he is addressing Gonzalo and telling that it is no fault of yours that you are feeling tired, that you feel you can proceed no further. So he says that even I am very tired, and so are my spirits. Mane physically as well as his spirits also, they have become exhausted. They have reached as if its lowest point. And then he is telling, sit down and rest. So sit down, let's have some rest. And in this place, he says that he shall give up all the hopes of finding his son again. So he feels that hope cannot deceive me anymore like a flatterer. Flatterers also, they talk all rubbish. When they flatter you, they tell all lies. So hope also cannot deceive me like a flatterer and tell me that my son is alive. So he is drowned. So he has come to the conclusion that Ferdinand is drowned, and whom thus we stray to find. So that person whom we are searching, it is in vain. It is a futile search. Our frustrate search on land, and as a result of it, as if the sea is making fun of us. Why? Because he considers that Ferdinand is drowned and he is lying at the bottom of the sea, and that is why the sea is as if making fun of their futile search. Well, let him go. So this shows how despaired he is. So he is gone, so let him go. Antonio to Sebastian, I'm right glad that he is so out of hope. Do not for one repulse forego the purpose that you resolve to effect. So wicked people, now they always never stop thinking wicked. Antonio is the worst of the lot. So he's telling Sebastian that he is very glad. Why? Because Alonso has given up all hopes. Then he tells Sebastian that don't give up the plan which you had thought of carrying out, which was the plan of killing his brother. So don't forget the plan. Don't give it up. Don't abandon it. So just because we have failed in the first attempt doesn't mean that we should give it up altogether. So Sebastian, aside to Antonio, the next advantage will we take thoroughly. So Sebastian has also agreed to it, and he says that the next chance that we get or the opportunity that we get, we will take that opportunity. We will not let go that opportunity. Antonio, aside to Sebastian, let it be tonight, for now they are oppressed with travel. They will not nor cannot use such vigilance as when they are fresh. So Antonio is very eager to carry out the work. So he's telling we will take advantage of tonight. Why? Because tonight they seem to be very tired on account of the journey, because of the labor of this journey. They are very exhausted. So this is the best time. Why? Because at this time, since they are so exhausted, they won't be able to keep vigilance. They won't be as alert as they will be on some other day when they are fresh. Today they are tired, they are exhausted, and as a result of it, what will happen? They will be, They will be very sleepy. So naturally they won't be on their alert, they won't be on their guard. So tonight is the best time to strike. I say tonight, no more. So Sebastian also agrees, yes, tonight, but don't let's speak anymore now. Solemn and strange music, and Prospero on the top invisible. Enter several strange shapes bringing in a banquet, and dance about it with gentle actions of salutations, and invited the king, etc. to eat. They depart. So what happens? Prospero comes. Prospero is invisible. They don't see Prospero. Prospero sees the whole lot. And then all the spirits of Ariel, the followers of Ariel, they all come taking different shapes, and they bring in food. So they are bringing in a banquet. They dance and they make gentle actions of greeting, and then they leave the food for the king and his followers to eat, the king and his friends to eat, and then they leave and go. What harmony is this, my good friends? Hark! So Alonso, when he hears this solemn music, he is startled. That means in this island, from where does this music come? So may the God bless us. From where is this music coming? So, and then he sees the strange shapes. So the the followers or the supporters or the subjects of Ariel. Ariel is the leader of the spirits. So all the other spirits, they come in different shapes. So the king is surprised. He hasn't seen any of these creatures before. So what are these shapes? Gonzalo, marvelous sweet music. So Gonzalo says, this music is really sweet. Alonso, give us kind keepers, heavens, what were these? So Alonso is very shocked at the strange shapes. So please God, protect us. What were these creatures? A living drollery. Now I will believe that there are unicorns, that in Arabia there is one tree, the phoenix is thrown, one phoenix at this are raining. So Sebastian says that this is a living puppet show, a live puppet show. And he is not at all worried. He seems to be quite cool. He observes them and he says, oh my God, this seems to be a live puppet show. And these creatures are taking part in this live puppet show. And he says, now I am ready to believe what? That there exists a creature called unicorn, and not only that, in Arabia there is a tree which is the seat of the phoenix, and one phoenix is still there now. So why does he bring in the reference of the phoenix and unicorn? Because when travelers would come visit ancient or antique lands, and they would come and report that they saw strange creatures, maybe like that of a unicorn or that of a bird called phoenix, and no one would believe them. They would say all these travelers are liars. So now, after seeing these shapes, he says, I'm ready to believe that unicorns or phoenix also exist, because if we go and report that we have seen these type of creatures in a deserted island, who will believe us? No one will believe us, as we had disbelieved those creatures who had spoken about unicorn and phoenix. So now I'm ready to believe that unicorn is not a mythical character, it exists, and so for the phoenix. It still exists in a tree in Arabia. So only when it comes to us do we believe or we understand others. So long as they had not experienced such a strange thing, they wouldn't have believed. They would have just called them liars. But now, if they realize that if we go and tell about these creatures, then others will call us liars. So he says, Antonio, I'll believe both. Believe both means unicorn and phoenix. And what does else want credit? Come to me, and I'll be sworn. It is true, travelers never did lie, though fools at home condemn them. So now, seeing this living drollery, he is ready to believe everything. All those things which seem unbelievable, I am ready to swear that they are true. Why? He says that travelers actually did not lie. The fools at home, they found fault in their stories and condemned them as liars. Actually, travelers were right and the people at home were wrong. Gonzalo, if in Naples I should report this now, would they believe me? Yeah, so if in Naples I go and say, see, I have seen these type of creatures, would they really believe me? They will say, oh, you are a liar. If I should say I saw such islanders, for certes these are people of the island, who though they are monstrous, of monstrous shape, yet note their manners are more gentle, kind than our human generation you shall find many, nay, almost any. So he says, if I go to Naples and I say that I have seen such islanders, because I am certain that these are the inhabitants of this island, and though they look like monsters, yet their behavior is much more gentler than many men, or rather I would say no man behaves in such a gentle manner as they behaved. Prospero, he is watching from the top, being invisible. So Prospero says, honest Lord, thou hast said well, for some of you there present are worse than devils. So Prospero applauds him silently and he says, honest Lord, you have spoken well. Why? Because among you there are some who are worse than devils. Whom does he mean? First is Antonio, his own brother, then Sebastian, and also Alonso. Today he might seem very distraught, he might seem disheartened at the loss of his son, but he was a party to the crime. He had helped Antonio to usurp the dukedom. Alonso, I cannot too much muse such shapes, such gesture and such sound expressing, although they want the use of tongue, a kind of excellent dumb discourse. So he says, I just cannot wonder very much as these strangers, excuse me, at their shapes, movements and sounds. And these creatures, they are trying to convey their meaning through gestures, but these gestures are very expressive, though they lack speech. They lack speech, they are not speaking, but through their gestures, they are very expressive. They are trying, they have been successful in expressing themselves through their gestures. Prospero, praise in departing. So Prospero is quite amused at what they are talking about, these strange creatures. So he says, don't praise now. He is not talking so loudly that they should hear. Only the audience can hear Prospero. So Prospero says, praise in departing. So keep the praise for the later times, manis, after you finish the feast, then only praise. And so don't praise till you have seen till the very end. Francisco, they vanished suddenly, so they disappeared in a strange manner. Sebastian, no matter, since they have left their wines behind, for we have stomachs. Will it please you to taste of what is here? So Sebastian, he is very practical. So he says, it hardly matters that they have disappeared. Why? Because they have left the food. And we might do justice to it. Why? Because we all have appetites. We all are hungry. And then he asked the king if he would accept the food that has been offered to them. Alonso, not I. No. Alonso is quite apprehensive. So he says, no, I am not going to. Gonzalo, faith, sir, you need not fear. When we were boys, who would believe that there were mountaineers dew-lapped like bulls whose throats had hanging at them wallets of flesh? So Gonzalo is trying to boost him. He says, sir, you don't need to be afraid of this. You don't need to have any misgivings. Why? Because when we were young, when we were boys, would we have believed that there were mountaineers whose fleshes grew from, their throats were like that of the bull, flesh hanging from the throat. So the throats descending in a bag of flags, just like it does in the throat of a bull. So you must have noticed the bull or the cows, you'll find their throats hanging. So who would have believed that mountaineers live, there are a type of mountaineers who have their throats hanging like that of the bull, or that there were such men whose heads stood in their breasts, or there were men whose head was not on top of their shoulders but on their breasts, which now we find each putter out of 5 for 1 will bring us good warrant of. So he says, and now we find that these stories will be believed to be true by every traveler who insures his life at the rate of 5 for 1, 5 pounds for 1. So if there is a bet, so the travelers, whatever they say, it will be believed. I will stand to and feed, although my last, no matter, since I feel the best is past. Brother, my lord the Duke, stand to and do as we. So, just a little while ago, Alonso had said that he is not going to taste the food. But now Gonzalo has been able to persuade him, and now he says, okay, I will eat, though I fear it might be my last supper. And it does not matter. Why? Because I believe that my happiest days are over. Why? Because he has lost his only son Ferdinand. His daughter is far away in Tunis. So, and he is in this God-forsaken island. So he feels that my best days are over. And then he tells Sebastian and Antonio also to start eating the food following his example. Now see what happens. Thunder and lightning. Enter Ariel like a harpy, claps his wings upon the table, and with a quaint device the banquet vanishes. So Ariel comes in the shape of a very big black bird-like creature, and then he claps his hands like this in a magical way, and all the food disappears. Some of you might have the textbook, I think it's the Oxford or something, where an illustration is given of the harpy. Not in all books, but in some publications they have given an illustration of harpy. Ariel, now he comes and scolds them. You are 3 men of sin, whom destiny that had to instrument this lower world and what is in it, the never surfeited sea, had caused to belch you up. And on this island, where men doth not inhabit, you amongst men being most unfit to live, I have made you mad, and even with such like valor, men hang and drown their proper self. So, Ariel comes in the shape of a harpy and disheartens them with his speech. So what does he say? You are 3 sinners, you 3, Alonso, Sebastian and Antonio. So you are 3 sinners, and that is why fate, which has control over this lower world and all the agents, they work at the will. Which are the agents? The seas, the mountains, the wind. They are the agents of fate, and they work according to the wishes of fate. So what have they done? What has the sea, which is an agent of fate, what has it done? Has thrown you up on this island where no man lives. Why? Because you are unfit to live amongst men. And I have made you mad. And even with such like valor, and in this state of insanity or depression, many times men go and hang themselves. So Alonso and Sebastian, they all draw their swords. What? Calling us sinners. So the little bit of courage that is left in them, yes, they draw their swords to attack the harpy, and now they'll get much more. You fools! I and my fellows are ministers of fate. So you all are really fools that you are drawing your swords. We are all agents of fate. Fate has employed us. So you think you can harm me? You can harm my fellows? The elements of whom your swords are tempered may as well wound the loud winds, or with bemocked axe stabs kill the still closing waters, as diminish one dowel that's in my plume. So he says, you might think of cutting the wind which is invisible. You might think of cutting the wind with your swords which you are drawing. You might think of cutting the water with your swords. But you won't be able to knock even one feather from my wing. If you could hurt, your swords are now too massy for your strength and will not be uplifted. And even if you had the power to inflict any wound, your swords are now so heavy that you cannot lift them. So it's no use trying to lift them, because they have become so heavy, you don't have the strength in you to lift them. But remember, for that's my business to you. Remember what I'm going to tell, because that is the reason why I have come. That you three from Milan did supplant good Prospero, exposed unto the sea which had requited him and his innocent child. So you three had thrown away Prospero and his innocent daughter from Milan, adrift on the sea. And the sea has repaid you for what heinous crime you had committed. For that heinous crime which you had committed by throwing out Prospero from Milan with his innocent daughter, you have been brought into this island. The sea has thrown you into this island as a punishment for your act. For which foul deed the powers, delaying not forgetting, have incensed the seas and shores, yea, all the creatures against your peace. So, the powers, the divine powers, the powers above, they haven't forgotten your treachery. Whose treachery especially? Antonio's. He's the brother on whom Prospero had depended so much. He had loved Antonio next to Miranda, and he had turned a traitor. So for this treachery, they were not given the punishment immediately. The punishment comes, but a little delayed, 12 years later. So like in Hindi, there is a line we say, Khuda ke ghar der hai, andher nahi. So it is here. Punishment might be delayed, but not denied. So all the creatures against your, so not forgetting, have incensed the seas and shores, yea, all the creatures against your peace. So now the higher powers, they have stirred up the seas and the shores. No, all the creatures who have turned hostile against you. Be of thy son, Alonso. Alonso, you've been robbed of your son. They have bereft, and do pronounce by me lingering perdition worse than any death can be at once, shall step by step attend you and your ways, whose wrath to guard you from which here in this most desolate isle else falls upon your head is nothing but heart sorrow and a clear life ensuing. So he says, Alonso, you've been deprived of your son. And not only that, a more prolonged misery or agony is waiting for you, which will be worse than death. Immediate death is a welcome blessing, I would rather say, in comparison to prolonged punishment, like life imprisonment and death punishment. Death punishment will kill a person immediately, but life imprisonment, not the 14 years, which is till you live. So that is worse. So you will also have lingering punishment. So if you want to save yourself from this, if you want to save yourself from all the agonies and miseries which will be visiting you in this lonely island, so what do you need to do? You need to repent sincerely for your offense and try to lead a sinless life, pure and sinless life. Prospero is still here. So he says, bravely the figure of this harpy hast thou performed, my Ariel. So Prospero applauds Ariel. He says, yes, you have played the role of harpy wonderfully, very nicely. A grace it hath, devouring of my instruction, hast thou nothing bated in what thou hadst to say. So he says that, yes, your playing the part of a harpy had a real magic spell of its own, and you have not left any of the instructions that I had given you. And not only that, with lifelike truth and attention to details, have the inferior powers, means the followers or the subordinates of Ariel, they have also played their part very well. Remember those who had brought the food, and they had danced around the food and then greeted, and after that told them to have the food and left. So all, not only Ariel, the other inferior creatures also, they have also followed the orders of Prospero in a very true manner. So with good life and observation strange, my meaner ministers, their several kinds have done. So the inferior spirits also have done their job in a very nice manner. My high charms work, and these mine enemies are all knit up in their distraction. So Prospero is now very powerful. He is on top. So he says that my magic is working, and my enemies, they are in a state of confusion. And they are now in my power. And in these fits I leave them while I visit young Ferdinand, whom they suppose is drowned, and his and mine loved darling. So they are now under my power, and I will leave them in this condition while I go to visit Ferdinand and whom else? While I go to visit Ferdinand and his beloved and mine as well. Why? Because Miranda is dear to both of them, Ferdinand as well as Prospero. Gonzalo, in the name of something holy, sir, why stand you in this strange stare? So Gonzalo says, my God, blessed angel, sir, why are you standing with your gaze faced upon the vacant space? Most probably vacant space. Why? Because Prospero was there. He was invisible, but Prospero was there, and most probably Alonso must have heard the words of Prospero but not seen him, and that could be the reason why he was staring in vacant space. Alonso, oh, it is monstrous, monstrous. Methought the billows spoke and told me of it. The winds did sing to me, and the thunder, that deep and dreadful organ pipe, pronounced the name of Prosper. It did bass my trespass. Therefore my son in the ooze is bedded, and I'll seek him deeper than ever plummet sounded, and with him there lie mudded. See, he's in a state of despair. So he seems already, Prospero has said, they look bewildered, they look confused, they are in my power. Yes, so Alonso seems to be terrified. There is a bewilderment in his eyes. So he says, oh my God, I think it is inconceivable. It seemed that as if the waves uttered, the billows means waves, the waves uttered the name of Prospero. The winds as if they also pronounce the name of Prospero. The thunder, all of them as if they pronounce the name of Prospero. Why? Because it is his guilt conscience that is telling him that he has done something very wicked in expelling or banishing, or rather throwing out Prospero from Milan. And so for this he has been punished. His son is lying buried in the sea, at the bottom of the sea, and he is in such a state of desperation that he says, I will go and seek him in the depths of the sea. That means he wants to commit suicide by drowning. So, and he will lie at the bottom of the sea with Ferdinand by his side. Sebastian, but one fiend at a time, I'll fight their legions over. So let the fiends come to me one by one, and I will fight their whole army. Antonio, I'll be thy second, so I'll also support you. I'll help you. I'll be your second. So these two leave. Gonzalo, all three of them are desperate. Which three? The three sinners, Alonso, Sebastian, Antonio. Their great guilt, like poison given to work a great time after, now begins to bite the spirits. I do beseech you that are of suppler joints, follow them swiftly and hinder them from what this ecstasy may now provoke them to. So Gonzalo is the wise one. So he says that these three are driven to madness. So the crime which they had committed, it is working like poison, slow poisoning. It is working like poison and has infected their souls. So he is now telling the other courtiers who are young, suppler joints means who are young, who are more agile, that they should follow these three and prevent them from doing something horrible. Why? Because they are in a state. So he says that those who are of suppler joints means those who are quite agile. You go and follow them. Why? Because these three are in such a state of frustration, guilt conscience, that they might do anything. So you go and try to stop them from doing something terrible. So Adrian says, follow, I pray you. So he tells the others, remember there were Adrian and Francisco. So Adrian tells that the others that follow, I pray you, I request you, follow me. So with this, your Act 3, Scene 3 comes to an end, and Class 11, your syllabus is done. Now for my Class 12, I don't know how much I'll be able to do because 2 more acts remain. Anyway, I'll try my best. So for your exams, because 11, they start earlier. They start their English, I think, is on 10th, if I'm not mistaken. 10th and 11th, I guess. One will be 10th is, I guess, language, and 11th is literature, if I am not wrong. Anyway, but it will be within 10 to 12 only, whatever it is. So let me wish you best of luck. And at the same time, I am again reminding you, please subscribe to my channel, and if you have some problems, post your comment in the comment section. You have seen that I always try my best to answer. There may be many questions. I try my best because, I have my classes and even they are having their exams, not only the board exams, but I have my class exams also for my students. So this is a very tough time for me, hard pressed for time, but still I'm trying to find out some time. It is nearly 1:45 at this moment. So please bear with me if I'm unable to do faster or not as fast as you expect. Please, as I said, bear with me. So wishing you all the best in your exams. Have a happy time and devote yourselves completely to your studies. Goodbye.